Welcome back to another Ethical Point Explainer. So, if you're gearing up for the UPSC exams, you already know that making those complex, high-stakes decisions, yeah, that is literally the bread and butter of public administration. But how do we actually go about making them?
Hit the nail on the head. Today, we're unpacking the ultimate dilemma, the gut versus the brain. We're going to explore the hidden architecture of how we decide right from wrong, and honestly, why mastering this is absolutely critical for any future IAS or IPS officer listening to this right now.
Right, so our learning goals for today's session: ethics in civil service, intuition versus reasoning, the classic trolley problem, Haidt's Intuitionist model, administrative accountability, and finally, a highly practical UPSC answer blueprint.
Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. Ethics in Civil Service, setting the stage for UPSC GS Paper 4. You know, for GS Paper 4, ethics isn't just some abstract, pie-in-the-sky philosophy. It's the absolute foundation of everything you'll do. As an administrator, you're not just moving resources around. You are dealing with human lives, rights, justice, the whole shebang. So let's do a quick layman's pause here. What exactly is ethical decision-making?
Well, it's basically the conscious process of evaluating your options and choosing the one that actually aligns with moral principles. It's not just about doing what's easy or, even what's strictly legal. It's about doing what is objectively right after rigorously looking at all the alternatives.
Moving on to Section 2, Intuition versus Moral Reasoning, the Heart and the Head.
So, as someone studying administration, I've really got to ask, what is the actual practical difference between a visceral, immediate reaction to a crisis and a logical, fully thought-out response?
Great question. Let's trigger another layman's pause to define moral impulse. This is that instantaneous, automatic, heavily emotional gut feeling of right and wrong. It pops up before you've even had a split second to think. Imagine you see someone drop their wallet. You instantly shout to stop them, right? Why? Because this kind of intuition is hardwired by evolutionary survival instincts and your cultural upbringing. It takes literally zero effort.
Okay, that makes total sense. It's kind of like the left side of this equation, moral intuition, or the heart, like a firefighter just instinctively rushing into a burning building to grab an accident victim. There's zero time to calculate risk. Survival just demands immediate action.
Precisely. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast with the right side of our equation, moral reasoning, or the head. This is cognitive, conscious, analytical. Picture a policymaker evaluating a brand new surveillance law. They have to sit down and carefully weigh transparency against national security, considering constitutional values, long-term impacts. It's a much slower, much more logical system.
That brings us to Section 3, the trolley problem, a case study in ethical dilemmas. So how do these two systems actually talk to each other when you're in the middle of a crisis? Let's look at the classic trolley problem. Imagine a runaway train is just barreling toward 5 people tied to the tracks. You've got 2 options. Option A, push a large person off a bridge onto the tracks to stop the train. Option B, flip a switch to divert that train onto a sidetrack, where unfortunately it will hit 1 person instead of the 5. See, this is wild because my gut instinct just screams that physically pushing someone is horrific. It feels viscerally, deeply wrong. But if you ask me to just flip a switch, logically, my analytical brain calculates that saving 5 lives totally justifies sacrificing 1. It's like my gut and my brain are just totally at war here.
Exactly. And that leads us to Section 4, Haidt's Intuitionist model, modern ethical psychology.
So why do they conflict like that? Why are the gut and brain on such different pages? Time for another layman's pause. Enter Jonathan Haidt's social intuitionist model. He essentially flips traditional philosophy totally upside down. He suggests that in the real world, we rarely actually reason our way to a moral conclusion. Nope. Instead, we make an intuitive, emotional judgment first, almost instantaneously. And then, our logical reasoning only kicks in afterward. Let's define the second half of this theory, which is post hoc reasoning. Now, post hoc just means after the fact. It's when your brain works backward to justify, modify, or explain an initial gut feeling you've already had. Wait, so reasoning acts almost like a defense lawyer and the client is just my raw gut instinct? Like, I see a policy proposal, my gut immediately says, ugh, I hate this, and then my brain scrambles to find all these fancy legal or constitutional reasons to reject it? Nailed it! Your intuition made the choice. Your reasoning just built the defense to make it sound good. Section 5, Administrative Accountability, Balancing Speed with Justice.
So the crucial point is, what does this all mean for daily administration? It's pretty simple. Intuition provides humanitarian speed, but reasoning ensures legally defensible actions. Think about it. During a riot or a massive flood, your moral intuition gets you moving instantly to save lives out of genuine compassion. But relying strictly on that instinct, that can be incredibly dangerous.
And that brings us to a massive pitfall for any civil servant: unconscious bias. We'll do a quick layman's pause. These are the underlying prejudices and stereotypes that automatically, completely unintentionally, influence our judgments.
Right, so if I let my unchecked intuition just rule my desk, those hidden biases could lead to preferential treatment, right? Like acting favorably towards someone just because I inherently relate to them. That completely flies in the face of the rule of law, fairness, and justice. Basically, intuition without reasoning is totally unaccountable.
Let's move to and see how this builds a better approach. To overcome that bias and guarantee impartial decisions, you literally have to force your brain's slow system to engage. Step 1, analyze the facts completely objectively. Step 2, weigh the competing values like transparency versus security. Step 3, consider both short and long-term consequences. And step 4, apply established moral principles and constitutional values. That step-by-step deliberative process, that is exactly how you produce decisions that you can actually defend before the public and the courts. All right, Section 6, UPSC Answer Blueprint, Structuring a High-Scoring 10-Marker. Okay, breaking the fourth wall here for all our UPSC aspirants tuning in. How do we actually translate all this theory into a high-scoring 10-marker? Because, let's be real, word limits are our biggest enemy in the exam hall. We do not have time for sprawling philosophical essays.
Absolutely crucial point. You drop a comparative summary table straight into your answer. Contrast the nature, instinctive versus logical. The process, subconscious versus deliberate. Then hit speed. Basis of judgment, effort, transparency, and limitations. Throwing down an immediate structured comparison like this signals total clarity to the examiner, and it saves you precious time.
Okay, but what about the conclusion? How do we wrap up that answer perfectly and really leave an impression? The ultimate hack for your way forward or conclusion section is harmonization. Whatever you do, do not fall into the trap of choosing one system over the other. You need to state that ethical excellence requires both. Let intuition, the heart, inspire your compassion and prompt immediate action. But always use reasoning, the head, to make sure those actions are just, consistent, and impartial. Okay, let's play this out. Say I've cleared mains. I'm sitting right there in the interview chair, and the panel looks at me and asks, what is more important in administration, moral intuition or moral reasoning?
Well, the seasoned administrator knows the answer isn't just A or B. It is always both. You look them in the eye and tell them you trust your instinct to maintain your humanity and empathy, but you rigorously apply procedural logic and rules to maintain accountability and uphold the Constitution.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the core thesis. If you need one single sentence to memorize from this entire explainer, make it this. Moral intuition inspires us to do good, and moral reasoning ensures that the good we do is just, consistent, and ethically defensible. It is just a beautifully balanced articulation of the ethical ideal. So, we'll leave you with this. When you finally find yourself sitting in that administrative chair and your very first major crisis unfolds right in front of you, will you let your initial gut instinct or your analytical brain dictate your actions?
Or will you find the wisdom to let them guide each other? Keep reflecting on that, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next explainer.